That's no different than tenure faculty. Not sure tenure faculty are homeless. But yeah.
How are you doing?
Great. How's everything going?
You staying out of trouble?
You know, trying to stay off the streets.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I know they've got.
What are you up to?
But that's just what we're at.
that your breakfast or your lunch or yet?
Okay. Good morning. Welcome to President Jessup's Town Hall meeting, and thank you for coming. I am Rhonda Montgomery, Chair of UNLV's Faculty Senate. I am an Associate Professor and Director of Student Success in the William F. Harrah College of Hotel Administration. Joining me, we have our student leaders, Sharon Young, President of GPSA, and Elias Benjamin, President of CSUN. We are delighted to have many guests joining us in the audience, and I would like to acknowledge some special guests. If you would please stand as you are introduced. We welcome, representing Congresswoman Dina Titus, Lisa Levine. From the Nevada State System of Higher Education, Marcia Turner, Vice Chancellor for Health Sciences. President Emerita, Carol Harder. We also welcome the President's Cabinet. And our deans. Thank you all for joining us. On January 5th, 2015, Dr. Len Jessup began his employment at UNLV as our 10th president, and we are proud to have him as our leader. An accomplished leader in higher education, Len brings experience as a university professor, administrator, entrepreneur, and fundraiser. He will lead our university on its path to become a high-performing, community-engaged, Tier 1 research university. Among one of his top priorities is the development of a UNLV School of Medicine. It is my great honor to introduce our president, Len Jessup.
Thank you, Rhonda. Very gracious introduction. And you read it just like I wrote it, so thank you. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Just getting my own notes set up. Well, welcome everyone, and thank you for being here. I'll do my best to keep my remarks brief so that we have plenty of time for questions and for Q&A with me and the cabinet and deans in the room to the extent that we can answer everyone's questions. And I'm really overwhelmed at how many people are here. I hope we have enough time for everyone to speak. I can't believe that it's been a little over 2 months since I began the job on January 5th. This has been, I'm not kidding, the fastest 2 months in my life. It feels like it's gone by in just a few days. But it has been wonderful. We've done the best that we can. I know Fred is the hardest working man in show business. And Fred, and just trying to make sure that we get out to meet everyone around campus and around the community up in Carson City. So it's been busy and action-packed, but very productive already. Just a couple of kind of quick housekeeping items. We're thinking that we would like to do a town hall or something like this every spring, and then do a State of the University address each fall. And then instead of doing kind of a traditional inauguration, we will do some sort of a celebration. So stay tuned for Friday, May 1st at 1:30 p.m. But it'll be more of a celebration than it will an inauguration. So no processional, no cap and gown, and we're going to take away with a lot of the formalities and have an event that I think you'll really enjoy. with the help from some great people on campus, Jeff and others, in putting it together. More of a celebration of the university's past and present and future. I think you'll enjoy it. Well, I'll tell you that 2 months have been the most, I think, fun thing about the past 2 months have been getting to know everyone on campus. We are an amazing university. UNLV is an amazing university with amazing people, our faculty and our staff and our students. I sent out a note to deans asking them, just let me know a couple things about your college or your school and what's happening there. And that's kind of cool, or recent things that have happened that have shown up in press clippings. And I could spend the next hour just reading from the list of things that were sent to me and the things that people are telling me as I'm visiting units around campus. A couple that stand out that I think are pretty cool. So think about this. Think about your health. And when you're feeling sick, or maybe your son or daughter or a partner is not feeling that well, you need to go and need to get help. And of course, we know there's a very dramatic shortage of doctors in this region, and the School of Medicine is aimed at helping that. But we have right now a number of very good health-related academic offerings on this campus that are extraordinary. And the one that I was going to mention is our School of Nursing. In order to address the nursing shortage, has added on an online graduate degree. And the U.S. News and World Report recently ranked that the number sixth best program in the country. That's amazing. Amazing. Now think about your phone. I've got my iPhone in my pocket, and we're all amazed about how powerful the iPhone has gotten. But for our faculty on campus whose research requires a really good telecommunications network and really good computing power, the iPhone just doesn't do it, especially if they're in the areas of big data and analytics. You've all heard about what Switch has done in providing us a dedicated research network, and then Intel followed with the Cherry Creek supercomputer. What you might not have heard is just within the last month or so, Rob Roy personally has stepped up and donated over $500,000 to upgrade that Cherry Creek supercomputer, so that with the upgrades that'll be finished here in a little bit, that will become the fifth most powerful supercomputer in the country. We'll be immediately within the top 5 in terms of the computer firepower that our faculty will have available if they're doing research that relies on a high-speed data network. That's amazing. We'll be a top 5 university with opportunities for grant funding available to us that are available to only a handful of universities in the world. Now think about your past. Recently, anthropologists, I'm thinking of the way past here. Anthropologist Brian Vilmore and was part of an international research team that discovered a jawbone that was 2.8 million years old in Ethiopia, which is amazing in and of itself that a little piece of bone would last that long and that a team of researchers that Brian's a part of would find it. And it's providing some information. It shares human and ape-like characteristics, and it's providing some very useful information that's been missing in the fossil records. And that work was just written up in Science, and I think many of you know that's one of the best academic journals in the hard sciences. I think anybody would take a publication in either Science or Nature in a heartbeat. Amazing discovery led by one of our own faculty members. Now think about our students. We have many in the audience right now, and we all know how great our students are here at UNLV. I could read a list for hours just on the achievements of our students recently. And the one I was going to point out that happened recently was a team of students from the Lee Business School attended a national competition put on by the AICPA. It's the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. And they put on an annual competition. Our team of students from UNLV, from the Lee Business School, won the competition, a national competition, and took home $15,000 in prize money. Excellent. Yeah. And now think about the future. And I'm thinking about robotics in particular. And you've all heard about Paul O. and the team that he's got with autonomous systems and with robotics. Well, the Department of Defense, and specifically DARPA, the Advanced Research Projects Administration, is going to have a global competition, a robotics competition in June in Southern California. And they handpicked 25 teams from around the world to compete. Not just 25 top universities, 25 teams anywhere from industry or government or university settings. Paul O. and his team have been invited as one of the 25 teams to compete in that competition, and they'll be going up against the likes from the universities. There'll be universities like MIT, and from companies, there'll be companies like Lockheed Martin that has also been selected, And from governmental agencies, they'll be competing against NASA. So, I mean, this is a really tough competition to handpick 25 teams, and we're one of them. UNLV is one of 25 teams. Congratulations to Paul O. and to Rama. And then finally, think about what rebels do. Rebels are entrepreneurs. And this state, and indeed this set of sister cities here in Clark County is very entrepreneurial, and all made a very bold investment into a law school some years ago, which is now the Boyd School of Law. And within the last few days, we learned that U.S. News moved our Boyd School of Law up 16 spots in 1 year in that ranking, which is amazing. Congratulations to everyone associated with Boyd. Again, I could go on and on. I'm very proud of what we are accomplishing here together. This is an amazing university. We're going to do even better things. What I've been telling people in my talks around town is, you ain't seen nothing yet. If you like what we're doing now, just wait and watch and see what we do next. There's a great strategic planning process going on. Perfect timing, because the process was created by Don Snyder back in the fall. Don, thank you for doing that. Don Snyder, yeah, come on up, Don, because I might pick on you more, so you might need to be closer to the front to do that. And Don and Carol both been a big help to me, and Don stayed on the team and is working now as an advisor to me and has been a huge help. Thank you, Don. Don started a process back in the early fall, the strategic planning process around Tier 1 that continues and ongoing and unchanged. And I know a number of you in the room have been involved in that. They're easily, with the people on the 5 work groups plus the staff that are helping with the process, probably close to 200 people working now on our Tier 1 initiative. They've identified, and thanks to Nancy's one of the point people on that project, working with John White and others to run it. We've identified 5 pathway goals to Tier 1, which is a beautiful thing, because when I interviewed back in the fall, one of the things I found was that there were misperceptions about what Tier 1 meant. When I interviewed students in the fall, many students believed Tier 1 was not about anything with respect to teaching and learning. And even some of the faculty I spoke with were under the impression that Tier 1 was only about the research disciplines in the physical sciences and not about the other parts of research and creative and scholarly activity on campus. And those things are both far from what's accurate. Well, so thank goodness the teams working in the fall came up with 5 pathway goals, and there are 5 teams now working this spring around each of those 5 pathway goals to Tier 1. One around research, creative, and scholarly activity in all forms on campus, and what can we do to be doing more of that and to be doing a better job with it than we're doing now. Work group working around that, coming up with sub-goals, the metrics that we'll use to measure progress, what steps we need to take to be able to do more, and what resources we'll need to bring to bear in order to do that. Similarly, there's a team working around the pathway goal around teaching and learning. And we've kind of challenged ourselves to think about what we can be doing to providing the best student experience possible and to become a school of choice as students and their parents are thinking about where to go. And there are a number of other sub-goals that will come out of that work group's outcomes, including retention rates and graduation rates and a number of other things. Another team working around community partnerships, because as Don has said, we recognize that we can't be a great university without a great community, and vice versa. The community needs the university to get to where it needs to go. It's clearly a shared destiny, and there's a work group working on those partnerships and what they'll need to look like and who we'll need to work with in our shared destiny with this community for both of us to get to the next level. Finally, one about the School of Medicine, and then one about improving infrastructure in general on campus. So business processes and customer service and things on campus. So those work groups will finish that work by the end of the semester, and we will have a very good, actionable blueprint around the move to Tier 1. And quite frankly, in the next month or so, we probably need to, and Nancy's smiling at me because we probably need to stop calling it Tier 1. I think the Carnegie classifications will be one among many external metrics that we'll use to measure our progress. It's probably more appropriate to think of it as a top-tier initiative than it is Tier 1. Tier 1 means very specific things and will be included. The groups will be done with that work by the end of the semester, and we'll begin working on that blueprint. And we'll be back out asking people to help us in the implementation of these 5 pathway goals. We know that we're going to need resources to get there, and so we've all been working very hard within this legislative session to garner as much as we can from the state in terms of their help with dollars into UNLV to help us with our aspirations. I've got to tell you that when I got here, like the second week on the job, went up to Carson City and listened to Governor Sandoval's State of the State address. And I have to admit, I was blown away and was a very proud new citizen of the state of Nevada. Proud to be a Nevadan. And at that point, I was only a week in, but it was just perfect timing. His proposed budget for the state is a huge investment into the state's future. It's, the two sides are about $1.3 billion in spending, much of it coming to education and a good portion coming to the Nevada State higher education system, and some key pieces proposed for UNLV, and proposing a revenue package to support it. And I got to tell you, nothing in that budget that he's proposed is going to happen, not just the UNLV portions, but everything that's been proposed, all great investments into the future of the state of Nevada. None of that will happen without the revenue package. And we've all got to continue as citizens of the state to work with the legislators to figure out a way to get this done. For specific to the UNLV pieces, we'd asked, as a part of the NSHE's overall ask for elimination of the furloughs, and that was granted. Fully funding step increases for classified staff, that's there. There was an ask for there was not funding for longevity pay for classified staff. That was asked for. That was not in the governor's proposed budget. We'd also asked for merit pay for academic and administrative staff as a part of a system-wide ask, and that was also not a part of the budget. We continue to work on those initiatives with legislatures to have them be included. School of Medicine, we got a big boost and an endorsement from the governor for the UNLV School of Medicine and the seed capital to get it started. The governor proposed $8.3 million in seed capital spread over 2 years, which will help us to start it. We'd asked for closer to $27 million, and we continue to work with the governor and the legislators to find ways to fund the rest of that seed capital that's needed for the launch of the UNLV School of Medicine, so that we can launch as planned in the fall of 2017. Hospitality Hall for the Harrah College was funded at $24 million in state capital. And I just wanted to say quickly about that. So that's for a new building for the hotel program. I was here about a year ago, one of the external deans that was asked to come in to do the accreditation review for the business school, for the Lee Business School. So a team of deans fly into town and ready to do the accreditation review for the business school. We were shocked to learn that when we got there, the building that the business school in is old now, a little bit over 30 years old. It's about half the size of the building the business school that I was in and the other deans were in, so it's a small building, relatively old, relatively small. And we were surprised to learn that it houses both a business school and the hotel college. They're both in the same building, really shoehorned in. And the surprise to us was that for a marquee program on this campus, in both of those programs, but certainly with one that has a direct links with the casinos and the other businesses on the Strip in terms of providing their workforce for them, that it was in those kinds of conditions. And so we're happy to see the governor include Hospitality Hall in the budget for half of the funding. And we need to fundraise for the rest. And I've heard some interesting perceptions about what's going on around the hotel building, given this tight time frame for fundraising. And are we going to be able to pull this all together in time to take advantage and get this building off the ground? And I can tell you that there has been, so it's going to end up being about a $50 million plus building with the state paying for half, fundraising going for half. There are already gifts, cash gifts and pledges in hand for about $13 million on that building, which is amazing to me because it just got literally proposed by the governor finally after several years, several sessions of asking. Just got that initial approval in January, and it won't be officially done and finished and approved until the legislative session is over in June. And this is coming from somebody that's done a fair amount of fundraising. To have $13 million in cash and pledges already, with this still being tentative from the state's point of view, is amazing and is a sign of the support that this community is putting into that project. But I guarantee you that we will raise the rest of that money. Don't let that be a doubt for anyone. That will be raised and pledged when it's needed in the fall for that building to start. I mean, it'll be an exciting new opportunity for that program. And then finally, in the governor's budget, the Boyd School of Law, we'd asked for $1.5 million in state budget spread over the biennium. That is in the governor's budget, and we're glad to see it, to be able to keep that program revving at the high level that it's revving, obviously, and being recognized for it with these national accolades. The state will do everything it can to help us. They'll do everything that they can to help us. This economic recovery is continuing, but it's a slow recovery. The state is going to do everything it can. It won't be enough, though, to fuel our aspirations, to get the university to where we want to get it. We're going to need to find other sources of support. And so that's why I've asked Bill Bolt and Nancy to start the planning for the university's next comprehensive capital campaign. And that planning is underway. We are going to need philanthropic support to fuel our aspirations and to get us where we want to go. And so all of these things need to be very tightly aligned. The Tier 1 planning initiative that you're participating in, and then what the colleges are telling us in terms of their specific needs, the colleges and other programs on campus, that provides for us the menu, if you want to think of it that in those terms from a fundraising point of view, the menu of items that we'll be fundraising around. And then we will get serious about our fundraising. I mean, we're doing a good job now. But when a university is in a capital campaign, it really galvanizes support around a university. And so we need to get going quickly into a capital campaign that's tightly aligned with our Tier 1 planning efforts on the university. And there'll be a corresponding branding and marketing effort that'll go along with it. That's natural that you do that as a part of a capital campaign. And that will also be tightly aligned. Strategic planning with our fundraising and with our marketing, all very tightly aligned. And raising money for one purpose, the advancement of this university. Quickly, I'll just mention a couple of other things ongoing that I'm sure we'll have questions about. The campus climate survey is just coming to an end. We had a great respondent rate. Approximately 35% of the folks on campus available for the survey have responded. That was a good portion more than the prior campus climate survey done in 2010. The preliminary results are coming in. We'll have them available for me and others to read and digest in the next week or two, and then they'll be posted out on the website within that time frame as well for everyone to see. We plan on doing a future campus climate survey every spring. That's what a good university does. It's what our regents and our chancellor are asking us to do. And so this will become a regular occurrence. And I can tell you that we will listen to it, and we will make changes based on what we are hearing in the campus climate survey. Similarly, we just had Damon Williams in as a diversity consultant. He's a national best-selling author and speaker and consultant on diversity matters in higher education. He is now concluding his final report as well, and he'll be making recommendations to us on diversity here on campus and compared to best practices around the country. We will use Dr. Williams' report. We will read it. We will make changes based on what we are learning from his work with us. And based on the information from the climate survey and from Dr. Williams' work, we will be making changes on this campus. And then finally, the last thing I wanted to mention was that you saw a note for me that John White is asked to move out of the provost role, and he'll finish out the end of this year. And so at the end of June, then he'll move into a role as an advisor to me. And then two things will happen. One is that we will run a national search for our next permanent provost and executive vice president. In the short term, we need to find an acting provost to begin on July 1. So in the next week or two, you'll see an email message from me calling for nominations for our acting provost to begin on July 1st and to continue until we conclude a national search. My preference is that we find an acting provost who is not interested in becoming the permanent provost. And beyond that, I need to hear from you all what you think our acting provost should be like. What characteristics should they have? And so I encourage everyone to let me know. Either you can send me an email message or to Fred and let us know what you're thinking, both about what's needed for the acting provost, what's needed for the permanent provost, and what your thoughts on process or timing or any of it. But I've outlined the rough game plan for you, and you'll be seeing an email message from me and just shortly here calling for nominations for the acting person. To wrap up, and then we'll get to questions. I really think that this is an extraordinary opportunity for us all right now. You've probably heard me as I'm going around campus and around town talking about this university in this place at this time, just to try to set the context for everyone for the extraordinary opportunity that I think we all have. This university in this place at this time. This university is a beautifully diverse, very eager, passionate urban university, poised to do great things. This place, the desert that we live in, this valley, the Paradise Valley, is an entrepreneurial, vibrant set of sister cities. That's a great place to live, quite frankly. And at this time is the sense that this region was growing before the downturn, and it is starting to grow again. And all indications, all the national studies around national population migration and business growth and where people are moving and where the growth and development will happen, it points to a set of very interesting little entrepreneurial ecosystems all along the southern United States. And it's thought that the ones in the interior, not Southern California, not Southern Florida, but the little ecosystems inside of that, this is one of them in southern Nevada. The Sun Corridor in Arizona is another. There are 4 of them in the state of Texas. And then Atlanta and a few other along the Gulf Coast are all predicted to be where all the activity, all the growth and activity is going to occur in the United States in the coming decades. We are one of those zones. And so I mean it when I say this is a great opportunity to be at this urban university in this place at this time. It's a great opportunity for all of us to take advantage of. The community needs us to step up and to become a Tier 1 university. Tier 1 universities have great impact, both economically and socially, on their communities. And this community is asking us to step up and fulfill our destiny and to really help the community in our shared destiny and where we go together. So we need to step up and be even more of an entrepreneurial university than we are now, finding new ways of doing things and helping ourselves and helping our community. And we will. We are UNLV. We're rebels by definition. We're entrepreneurs. We're creative. We're passionate. We care about each other. We care about the community that we live within. And we're here to help, and we will help, because that's what rebels do. We are UNLV. Thank you for listening, and let's turn it over now to questions and answers. I'm going to grab this microphone and come down and begin. So if you've got a question, please come up to one of the microphones, and I'll make my way down there. Thank you.
Welcome to our campus.
Thank
We're
you.
delighted to have you. Dr. Roberta Sabbath here, 15-year adjunct faculty member with the English department, a department that does all it can for its adjunct faculty members. We all know the attention that the Chronicle and national media has given to the adjunct situation. November 11th, 2014, IPED report showed 588 part-time faculty on our campus with 919 full-timers. The NSHE Part-Time Instructor Task Force report and recommendations came out just about the time you arrived on campus. Many of us part-time faculty would volunteer to make these recommendations a reality. Recommendations include pay increases. We haven't had one for over 10 years. Others include merit for loyalty, teaching evaluations, continuing education, scholarship, creative production. What are UNLV's plans in view of this report's recommendations? And thank you for taking the question.
Roberta, thank you. And I'll ask any of the cabinet members to chime in addition to what I'm offering for an answer. And I failed to mention that we plan on including part-time faculty and part-time employees in the climate survey in the next round. And the pay issue is an important one. What I've said to folks on cabinet is that we've asked the state to help out with increases. They've done that to the extent that they can in the governor's proposal. And we've talked to legislators about that over the last several weeks and will for the next couple months through the end of the session for all employees. And what we've talked about is that we've got to find a way to be able to do that with or without the state. We're going to need the state to do what they can, but that's also something that we've got to figure out a way to solve as well. So I read the recommendations. Trust me, I know that it's important, not only on this campus, but across the country. As you've mentioned, part-time faculty are really sharing more and more of the load on these public universities throughout the country and fulfilling a very important role. Yeah, Jerry or anyone, anything to add? Yeah, Carl.
So thank you for bringing that up. Can you? Can you hear me? So thank you for bringing that up, and we've had conversations ongoing for a while. In fact, we're going to meet with the part-time faculty in the upcoming months to hear you and to talk about the system recommendation. The university can't function without you. You're incredibly valuable. You're also a hot commodity in the Valley because you've got several other institutions that are competing for your services. And so over the past couple of years, we have initiated the PTI conversions, where we've taken some of the best and brightest of our PTIs and made them lecturers or FIRs. That shows how valuable you are. But we also need to sink our teeth into the report that the system generated and develop a dialogue so that we can continue that path to both showing our appreciation, but also having you an engaged part of our academic programs. So we look forward to that dialogue.
Thanks, Carl. Carl, I'm the new guy, so you got to be careful with the acronyms. I'm not sure what all you just said, but I heard the old joke is the TLA, the three-letter acronym. That's what gets you. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah.
I'll go with the microphone that I know works. Just a question that occurred to me as you were talking about the provost position. I was just wondering, why do we have to have an acting provost and then do the national search? Can we start the national search now? Or ideally, can we just hold John by the ankles and keep him from leaving?
So, I mean, we will keep John by the ankles. He's going to be here in a role and continue through the end of this fiscal year, and then in at least another year in an administrative role beyond that, and then we'll be with us in the university beyond that. And the question of that kind of acting versus the national search is just about timing. There's a very prescribed process on this campus for searching for a provost that we'll follow. It'll be an expansive committee with a lot of representation from around campus. We'll employ the use of a national search firm because we want to make sure that we've really kind of scoured the country, if not the world, for all the great possible candidates, both on campus and off. And it takes time. There are some things, we just spoke with the faculty senate executive officers, Rhonda and others about this yesterday and within the last week or two. And there are some things we think we actually may be able to get started on the search for the permanent person maybe by the end of the semester. Oh, okay. And then a lot of the committee members will be off in the summer doing things and not completely available. But we may be able to start some things before the end of the school year and pick it back up when everybody's back and the committee can operate and be fully functioning again in the fall. But it'll take a while. I mean, the searches take a while. So that's why I think we're still going to need an acting person by July 1, because there's just no way we could have a permanent person in place by September.
Okay.
There's just no way. Yeah, it'll take longer than that.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, good question. Yeah, what else?
Hi, I'm Gina O'Connell from Local Motors, and I love that the community was one of your pathways, and I wanted to know, like, how can we help participate and other companies early on, not like at the end of the stage, but like at the beginning?
Thank you for the question. Great company, by the way. We've talked before about what you're doing here. And so Nancy, just raise a hand there so she can see you. So talk with Nancy when we're done. There is a group around the community partnerships working, and it's got a lot of people from the community participating in it, and it's probably not too late to get some input. Yeah, and so I would say connect with Nancy and let's get your input.
Okay,
thank you. Yeah, what else?
My name is Dave Gowdy. I'm the new Assistant Director for the Office of International Students and Scholars, and I'm actually newer than you are.
Oh, okay.
So I have a quick question, though. As we move forward into this great research university goal that we've set for ourselves, one of the characteristics of great research universities, is that they're internationalized, that they have substantial populations of international students and scholars, and they draw globally upon knowledge and research. How is that fitting into the planning, and where is that piece of the puzzle as we move forward?
Thank you, Dave. Thanks. No, I completely agree. You look at the great universities, whether research universities or even focused on teaching only, the great universities around the country are truly international, global universities, not only in terms of the mix of students coming in, but in terms of what they do with students when they're students, with a lot of great global opportunities for students, either as a part of courses or in extracurricular activities. And then also in terms of their placements. Right? And that's been the one that's been new and relatively difficult for universities to do, to think about placement from a global perspective. So we need to be doing all of that in terms of the inputs and what happens while they're here from a global perspective, and in terms of how we think about placement and alumni network activities after they've gone. I think we need to be doing all of those things. The good news is the Rebel alumni network is actually pretty large for a young university. We're a big university, and so our alumni network is pretty big. And it's pretty vast. We've got alumni, especially through the hotel school, and other programs like that kind of place internationally anyway. We've got a pretty good global network of Rebel alum that we could tap. not only for admissions and recruiting of students, but also for placement and networking opportunities beyond. I'm totally with you. Totally with you. That absolutely needs to happen. Yeah. What else? Other thoughts or questions, or how are we doing on time, Fred? We're good. We have plenty of time. If there are any other questions, reactions, ideas, anything. You don't want to see me dance or sing. It does. Trust me on that. Yeah. Mr. Filler. Yeah, come on up. You want to hear? I'll pass you a mic.
No, the question isn't that important, but it wouldn't be me if I didn't ask you this. On May 1st, is there going to be food? Will you feed us?
You're killing me. Yes, there will be, and Aramark is going to be providing all the food on their dime. So it will be open to everyone, and there'll be a light reception afterward, and we'll make sure we get you 2 tickets, and so that you can partake. Yes, for you and a guest. Yes.
My name is Peter Bayer. I teach at the law school. I've also been a faculty senator for about 14 years, and I'm chair of Academic Freedom and Ethics Committee. Very much in the news right now is the controversy at, I believe it's University of Oklahoma, involving students now expelled who were taped singing racist songs, making very offensive racist comments. But it has, of course, raised issues of inclusion in the community, but also the role of even abhorrent ideas and abhorrent speech within a university. I'm certainly not going to ask you to say anything, take a very specific stand about what's going on in Oklahoma, but if something similar were to occur here, what is your general sense about the interplay of an inclusive community, but also the expression of individual dissent and controversial, maybe even highly disturbing ideas?
No, thanks. That's a good question, and an important issue nationally right now, and from a number of perspectives. I have to first draw a distinction between an act like what happened at the University of Oklahoma versus having a controversial speaker sort of on the other end of the spectrum. And I am very much supportive of academic freedom and free speech on campus. We are the place where controversial ideas are vetted. I mean, that is the purpose of higher education and of our campuses. We have controversial speakers here all the time that either play well with one audience and not with another, or vice versa. And so we'll never shy away from having a controversial speaker, no matter what the topic, on this campus, even though many of us disagree with the speaker. But we'll never stop doing that. And I see that as different in some ways, from what's going on at the University of Oklahoma. I think that what the students did there was despicable. It was a disgrace for them and for their families and for the university. I think that President Boren did what he needed to do. Quite frankly, I think it was appropriate for him to step in that case. But again, I'm drawing a distinction between kind of the two sets of activities, personally. Yeah.
So, with Provost White leaving, I know that he has been a big backer of the diversity program that we have going on for our faculty. So with him leaving, is that still going to be a priority? Is that something you're going to be looking for in the next provost? Or because we notice that everything's saying we hire a lot of different minorities as well as gender, but when it goes to tenure positions, it all kind of stays the same.
No, we absolutely will continue with those activities. We will not let off on the accelerator on our press for diversity in all forms, in hiring and everything else on campus. And that mantle is really held not only by John, but by others in administration, including Reiner, I'm looking at, and Luis Valera, who's the kind of the administrative officer in charge of diversity efforts on campus as well. And we're about to get the report from Damon Williams, which is going to give us a set of actions, and kind of in addition to what we're doing now, for us kind of comparing to best practices around the country, a set of recommendations he's going to make for us to take even further steps, and we will.
And just to follow up with that, so another thing too is that we're also finding that maybe there might be not enough faculty support with some of those things. While we do have a lot of support with that, what are you going to do as president to make sure that ensure that faculty is on board as well? Is there going to be some incentives for the mentor program or anything like that?
I just had this conversation actually with Rhonda yesterday, and we clearly have to find a way, especially in certain areas on campus, to be more effective at hiring a more diverse faculty in those areas, while also having the faculty in that home department be a part of the search and selecting who those people are. They know the domain better than any of us. So that's an area where we've got to find a way between kind of the folks, and you and Reiner and I and others included on the administrative side, working with the faculty on the other to make good hires in those areas. And there's a lot going on. I don't know if you want to say anything further, Reiner, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Len. All I would want to say is that I was very proud to be part of the team that worked with John White to develop the faculty diversity hiring program, and Monica Lounsbury was also on that team. But what everyone needs to understand is that the faculty diversity hiring program is now a part of our institutional culture. So regardless of who the provost is, that program is going to continue, absolutely.
Good, yeah, come on up. I'm looking at Fred because I know there's an event in here right after us, so, okay.
Hi, I'm Judy Ryerson. I'm on the Associate Faculty in Fine Arts. I'm in theater. I have a question and a statement. I hope that within all of this discussion of tier placement, tier 1 placement, that we, because technology, medicine, sciences are really sexy, that we don't lose sight to the fact that this is the entertainment capital of the world, and fine arts are considered part of that development. You know, the EED program in engineering and theater, you know, all those kinds of things I think are really, really important in terms of our value in this community. Okay, so I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
My other question is, there was a new announcement of a new provost position, decision organizer. I don't even know what that position is, and I'd like to know, what is that person going to be doing? Thank you.
Yeah. I'm looking at the team over here. I'm not sure what announcement that was. What I will say is that I wholeheartedly agree with the first question/comment around the nature of this community in terms of entertainment and our role within that. That's why we've been very careful in the Tier 1 planning that group is not just about research in the physical sciences. It's about research, creative, and scholarly activity in all forms, and how we can breathe life and resources into all of those areas to take them up. And I was at the art with Don and others at the Artists and Entertainer Hall of Fame event just a week ago, where we got to hang out with a lot of really successful UNLV alum in those industries and watch some of them be awarded that night. And it's clearly a fundamental part of who we are and the community we're embedded in. I'm not sure on the position, so we'll have to look that up. Maybe, yeah, is it decision support or go ahead? Decision support. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I think that the question was really about decision support. So we hired Dr. Suti as our new director of decision support. The title of that changed to Associate Vice Provost for Decision Support. And that was the position. This is, those of you who've been here for a long time, this was institutional analysis and research. So we recently changed the name of that office to better match our institutional aspirations. And that, we primarily were doing a lot of NSHE reporting, but that office now is going to be providing not only those reports, but decision support for leaders in UNLV and for our campus in general to help us guide the kinds of things that we want to do.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, IR, what a lot of universities would call IR, right? Same function. I'm just, yeah, come on up.
I got the tail end of the town hall because I was in class, but when I registered here for classes, I'm actually at the business college, I noticed that some of your classes, the sizes were about over 100 students for the classes that I'm into, and with the large sizes, it's very hard for the professor to actually put attention to certain students. So, you know, with respect to time, there's some questions or some questions of the students may have that they don't have time to go over. So is there a plan to hire more professors so we don't have classrooms that are exceeding 170 students or students finding themselves on wait list for classes that they need to graduate?
It's a great question. And it's a pretty important part of the student experience for sure. There is, and so in the business school, like a lot of programs on campus, I know that they offset. Some sections are larger so that other sections can be smaller. And they try to be as careful as they can about decisions about which ones can be a little bigger, and then when they need to do more hands-on work or experiential learning, they try to do that in smaller sections. I know the business school does that because I just did their accreditation review a year ago. And I know other programs on campus operate that way as well. And there is a faculty hiring plan in place. That's where the bulk of the spending is in this university every year, is in faculty hiring. And I could venture a guess. I'm looking at Jerry on kind of a rough number of how many faculty will be hired for the upcoming school year, but it's many. 75 faculty, rough numbers. And then that's a portion kind of based on need. You know, those allocations to each of the areas are based on need and where those faculty need to go. I really appreciate the question. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, come on up. And thanks for going to class and not coming here and cutting class.
Hi, Don. I have a question that really is for us old-timers. I've been here 39 years, and I know the younger faculty aren't thinking about this now, but they may someday. Under our HR website, we have a benefit called phase-in retirement. And what it requires is to submit a request for, and the program says one can have up to 5 years. But once you put it in, it then has to go through a series of approvals, perhaps the department chair, but certainly associate dean, dean, provost, and president. And any one of those can arbitrarily decide if it's enough years, not enough years, yay or nay. But so there's no clarification. But yet when one reaches an older age and is thinking about this thing, it does affect their life and their lifestyle and their decisions. Last year I did put it in, and the provost at that time said no, but there was no reason. He was going to grant a number of years, but not the ones I requested. This year, my dean said, well, they're just not going to allow it for anybody. So we don't know where we stand on something like that, but yeah, it's important, and it's supposed to be a benefit. It's listed as a benefit. So I'd just like you to look into it and get some clarification for the rest of us.
Absolutely. In fact, I'd invite you, if you're willing to come in and talk with Jerry and Larry, I think is up here sitting in the front in HR. Yes. Come in and talk to us. I'd like to learn more about what you're encountering and how we can make it better. Jerry?
Jerry Bomati, and it is listed as a benefit. Now, most of that process comes really through the academic side, and I think they try to look at what their needs are, balancing what the faculty member would like to do and what the needs are in terms of instruction, other activities in the college. So I think there are individual decisions made on that, but I don't really know much more about the process or how many come in every year. I don't know if Carl does or...
One could interpret this as you're incredibly valuable. We don't get a lot, but we do get a few. I haven't been directly involved in many of those negotiations, but I have talked to Provost White about it. And indeed, you do go up through your chair and the dean makes the case to the provost and the president. And all the factors that were discussed are considered in that discussion. The dean's input is quite valuable because it's at that level that your importance in the curricula and other aspects comes into play. And you are correct, there is the five-year step down, and all of that is negotiable.
But it just seems to be one-sided. Administration has the final say in it. And I don't think it's clear prior to a person like myself trying to apply what some of the criteria would be decided upon, you know, and then You know, when they just say the word money, that was the reason, money.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
that's
thank you. It's a
really
good
great
point. So
reason.
we can work on that and make the criteria more clear in process and decision making. Good point. Thank you. As you're coming up, I was recalling that we were at the emeritus faculty breakfast just a few days ago and having a good time with the recently retired faculty.
Hi.
Yes, hi.
My name is Raquel O'Neill. I'm the interim director of the Disability Resource Center on campus. And what I just basically wanted to say is, you know, students with disabilities, we have a small yet powerful group. There's 600 students currently registered with our office. And there has been a continued support by faculty and commitment to really provide access to students here at UNLV. And with the new School of Medicine coming on board, the community wanting more support with students with different types of disabilities coming from K through 12 education up into UNLV, all these different things happening, I just wanted to know your thoughts about continued commitment to, you know, serving students with access and students with disabilities in specific.
Thank you. Thanks for the question. The student experience is it's the same experience. It needs to be a great experience for all of our students, no matter whether they're a part-time student or a full-time student, they're working while they're going to school, whether they're posed with challenges that other students aren't, or no matter where they come from and what their background is. And so it's important, right, for all of those students to have a great experience here. And I, would like to learn more from you about what the experience is like for the students with challenges on our campus. And if you think there are things that we can be doing to do a better job of it, we need to hear about it. So yeah, I look forward to working with you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, come on up.
Sorry, it's a little short for me. James Jones, Office of Civic Engagement and Diversity. With more and more buildings being built throughout the UNLV campus, we're losing more and more green space. Is there anything that we're looking to do for expansion of UNLV?
James, good question. I know I've gone through, at least at a kind of a cursory level, the campus master plan with Jerry and Dave Frommer. And I know you guys are doing a lot to try to protect what's there now and even make some moves that would enhance those spaces and try to increase them. And Jerry, would you mind saying a word about that?
There isn't a lot of green space on campus, and we're going to lose a little bit with the new Hotel College building because it's going in the north field. So we're actively trying to work with Juanita's office and students, try to figure out in the short term what is the replacement for that. The longer term has the buildings that are known as the Central Desert Complex, which are nice trailers, unless you have an office in one of them. But the idea is that basically when we're able to replace those, we're going to create a field in that area there. Now, we do have some other things going on where we're looking at potentially some purchase of property around the campus that might help us with that as well. So, and of course, trying to blend in the intramural field. The athletics has worked with us to make available some of the practice fields that they have for students as well. So we do have it on our agenda for the master plan, and but in the short term, it'll get a little bit tighter, but we're looking at ways we can use other spaces on campus to meet those needs.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, I knew that was a problem when the other day we were going across campus. Fred and I had taken the cart because I had to be somewhere really quickly, and we went by the back, I guess it would be the kind of southern edge of the Student Rec Center, and there's a swimming pool that's kind of in the glassed-in area, and there's a kind of a field there that's not like an actual size of any kind of a playing field, and it's an irregular shape, and it's got a hillside, and right. And there was a team of some students playing flag football on that space, incorporating the hill. And I thought, that's probably number one, not safe, and it's certainly not big enough to actually do something, soccer or whatever they might do in that space. You know the space I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yes, and Juanita knows it too. It was, till we ran out of money, going to be an outdoor pool area, but
yeah.
Someday it may still be, or it will trade it. That's an area we're looking at for addressing this shortage of green space as well.
Right. Okay, and Fred is tapping on his wrist. I think we've come to the appointed hour. Thank you all for coming today. I'm really overwhelmed by the support. Thank you very much. Thank you. And let us know if you were not able to get your question in. Please let us know. Send me an email message and let us know what's on your mind. Thank you.